Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we look at the latest comics and other media featuring the Transformers. On this episode, we jump back into the first season of Transformers EarthSpark as we review episodes 7 and 8 of the newest Transformers animated series. Today is Friday, February 17th, 2023. And this is episode 325 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that started off as friends, but became family. I'm your host, Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hey, how's it going?
And Daryl, the Cybertronian Beast.
Let's talk Transformers.
You can't choose your family.
Nope.
Love you guys too. I got pop all over my keyboard with that.
It serves you right.
It was worth it.
As always, we start off the show by thanking our Donatreons, those lovely people who support us on Patreon and PayPal. Thank you all so much for your continued contributions. We really appreciate that support. And this week we are welcoming our newest Donatreon, Craig, who signed up for a whole year as a goodie bag Donatreon. So Craig, thank you for signing up. Craig is a returning Donatreon, so thank you for coming back, Craig. And we hope you are enjoying the podcast and enjoying watching and listening. So
I thought we didn't use Craig anymore.
we don't put Craig to work anymore.
Oh, okay.
The different Craig. This Craig. This is the good Craig, not the bad Craig.
Not the Discord recording bot.
And if you are a Donatron, you get a bunch of perks. You get access to some of our bonus content, and at goodie bag level, you get access to some merch. So Craig will be getting some merchandise over the year, in every 3 months or so. So Craig will look forward to that. We also have bonus shows, including our regular bonus show, We Like Big Bots. That's done by Daryl and Dr. Pants. So we've got 10 episodes of We Like Big Bots up on our Patreon page, so you can go check that out. If you are a Donatron, you have immediate access to all 10 episodes. You can watch them and just binge them if you want. Watch them all together, and lots of cool big bots to look at. There are more coming on the way. It'll be we're having a little bit of a hiatus, but that will be back in a little while. So take a look at those 10 episodes. Maybe you have suggestions for bots that Daryl and Dr. Pan should cover. Send them in. They will be considered. I don't know if they will be honored.
They need to be big.
Yeah.
They need to be bots.
And the show is just on one of those mid-season hiatuses that's all popular these days.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's doing it.
All right. And of course, we've got our live play RPG, Transformers Live Play RPG podcast, Empire of Rust. This week, we have the latest episode in the regular main feed. That's at transmissionspodcast.com/Rust. This was episode 95, the Gravitas of Navitas. So you can check that out. You don't have to be a Donatron to get access to Empire of Rust, but you do get the bonus versions that come out a week early and have lots of extra content in them. And those seem to be popular with the Empire of Rust listeners. So if you are an Empire of Rust fan and want to get access to that bonus content, check out our Patreon page, become a Donatron, and you'll get access to that. All right, now let's jump into our reviews of Transformers EarthSpark. Okay, we've got 2 episodes of Transformers EarthSpark we're going to talk about, so we're coming close to the end of this the first season here. So we're doing these are spoiler-filled reviews, so we've got lots of spoilers. This is your warning now. We're doing all spoilers for these 2 episodes. So if you haven't watched them yet and you don't want to be spoiled, shut off the podcast, stop watching, and go watch the episodes first. Because we are going in depth on episode 7, Friends and Family, and episode 8, Decoy. So these were two interesting episodes. I definitely think episode 8 was the more exciting of the two, but we'll get to that. But episode 7, Friends and Family, this one was it's interesting how the season for EarthSpark has been broken up. Like you had one kind of you know sitcom-y family episode, and then one kind of action adventure episode, and it's been kind of doing that pattern for the last few episodes here, and so it's interesting to see them side by side. So episode 7 was kind of the kid focused family episode. Mo and Robbie are preparing for their first day of school. They're in the new town of Witwicky. It's a slow paced, country town, not like Philly. Big city Philly.
You mean Philly? That's what they call Philadelphia.
Yes, that's what they call Philadelphia. But and it was it's a cute episode. It starts off with the emotions of the between the kids and the Terran bots is going a little bit it's getting a little bit crazy because the Terrans are feeling all the mixed emotions of Robbie and Mo and Robbie as they're preparing for school. They're a little bit nervous. And then school is kind of like apparently it's such a small town they don't even have enough kids for multiple classes. So like everyone's at like or I guess Mo's class like
The
had
teacher wasn't there.
yeah, the teacher wasn't there, and so she had to stay with Robbie. But yeah, it's a pretty small class. Maybe they just didn't have enough budget to animate a lot of kids for the for the cartoon. But Mo and Robbie, their first day goes okay until like they get some emotion feedback overload, where when Twitch and Thrash start having these glitches, and then it actually it pushes it into Mo and Robbie, so they start glitching out the same way the bots are, and that's kind of weird. Of course, Mo and Robbie are not happy about that. They get a little bit. They come out and tell the Terrans to buzz off. They'll see him after school, and that's they're a little bit sad about that. But then we find out that the Terrans are actually they're suffering from some kind of low energon sickness, where they and apparently the weird and Bumblebee asks like, when was the last time they had energon? They never had energon. So our Terran robots, they're Transformers, but they don't need energon? What? That's a surprise. And then later on, eventually you find out that the Terrans are drawn to this underground pool of special Transformer water that was put there, and it's not clear how it got there, but probably has something to do with the where the origin of the Terran, like the Terran, that cave that the Terrans came from. Whoever created that, where their sparks were generated, probably created this cave. I believe we get some more information about that in the last 2 episodes of the series, and so we'll talk about that when we do that review. I don't want to give anything more away than what's in this episode. But yeah, so they find this pool of water, and it revives them. So it straightens they are no longer glitching out. They're no longer suffering from energon poisoning, but they don't have any more energon in them. They don't need energon at all. Since they're not they're Transformers. They're not Cybertronian. They are Earth-based Transformers, so they can survive without energon, which is interesting. So and of course, in the middle there, we had the Bumblebee and the human kids looking for the Terrans as they wandered off, and we had some nice comedy interactions with a raccoon with Bumblebee. So Bumblebee made a new friend, and that was it. I mean, it was a pretty self-contained story. With the one little interesting bit about the Terrans not needing Energon. That was the one interesting thing, but the whole focus was on the Terran bots being a little bit sad that they're missing their human brother and sister, but they realize that they each have they get to do human things, but the bots get to do Transformer things, so it's okay. They're still family and they still love each other, and blah 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 blah. It's fun. It's fine. So, Daryl, what did you think of this first episode?
It was kind of lame. A lot of touchy-feely stuff in this first episode that really I didn't want to have to, like, I don't think really needed to be in a Transformers show. Again, this is for kids, so I'm trying to. This isn't Transformers Prime, which was definitely more up my alley, but I mean, they didn't. They better come back and answer what the hell was with the water. Like, they just kind of splashed water on them, and then they all got better. So there better be some kind of resolution to that. Because if they just kind of have to go and kind of take a bath every now and then, like, here's the lesson, kids. To stay healthy, you have to bathe.
I've seen, I don't know if you've seen, if they have these infomercials in Canada, but on TV in the US, there's this crazy televangelist who sells this magic life water that and he says, you buy this water and you'll get fame and fortune, because send $100 and you get this the Jesus life water that'll help you out. Maybe it's that. I don't know.
No, the only ones that I see around here are Dr. Ho, and he's got the shit that makes your muscles bounce and stuff. He's got the he just puts electrodes on your body, and you're just, it's like, oh, now I'm working out. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, the first episode was, I mean, it's full of nice little, family lessons and stuff like that, but it was lame.
It's for the kids, Daryl. It's for the kids.
I know, but why can't the kids be excited? Get some excitement too. The Transformer show is, isn't Strawberry Shortcake.
They almost shot him. I mean, that was the you see Twitch turning her gun on the humans. You're like, is she gonna shoot her brother and sister?
Oh my God.
She really just needed a Snickers.
That's right.
So, Jeremy, what did you think?
Much the same. I mean, I would say that the first 2/3 of this.
No, you can't just say I agree with Daryl. I want you to say it was lame. I want the words "it was lame" to come out of your mouth.
I'm getting there.
Don't just fall in behind me and let me take the heat on this, because
I'm getting. If you let me finish my sentence.
All right.
Daryl, you had your time. The floor is now for Jeremy.
As Daryl said, no, the first 2/3 of this I thought was a little lame. It just, I don't know, the school stuff was dumb. Do they not have substitute teachers? I mean, I know teacher staffing in the US right now, there's, issues with, shortages everywhere, but there's no substitute. So you have to put Mo in with a class of older kids. I don't know. And the teacher was just ridiculous.
Weird. Yeah. Very weird.
And is the entire day this drama class?
It's important.
Apparently. Yeah.
Oh, a drama class where you open your Cybertronian history textbook.
Right. About that. Yeah. That. And then what was the app the teacher was checking? Like, he took them outside so he could check an app on his phone.
His dating app. That's what they say.
Yeah. That teacher is just, quality material right there. I can't see any problems with, real teachers doing that. But once we get into the low energon stuff where the the Terrans, are out into the woods and the cave stuff. That's where it started to get interesting. I really, I'm interested in the, what's up with the Terrans, like, their origins and stuff. We didn't get a lot of that in this episode, but that point where you mentioned Twitch was about to shoot at Mo, the tension was real in that. And, that scene was good, but there wasn't enough of that in this episode. There was too much of the school stuff, which I feel like that could have been shortened a lot, and we could have gotten a lot more exposition on the origin of the Terrans. But also that magic water, they were laying in the water and it wasn't doing anything until it was splashed on their face, or splashed on, I think, just one of their faces. And then suddenly it worked for both of them. The internal continuity of what they're doing in the show isn't really lining up within the same episode. But like Daryl said, it's for kids. But this episode was a little frustrating for me. You happy, Daryl?
Hey, yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, send your hate mail to Daryl and Jeremy at transmissions.com. It's like those scenes in movies where somebody's dying or dead on the ground and they don't come back until their love interest cries and their tear hits their face.
Which you basically see that with just like a little bit of water.
That's exactly what they just did. Yes. So the planet cried, it hit their face, and they came back to life.
I guess it's better than.
You have a problem with that? I don't understand.
Yeah, I guess it's better than the kiss trope of that.
Right.
Crying is a little more acceptable for a kid's show.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's friends and family. Let's move on to Decoy, which I think was a much more exciting, interesting episode. We have we have Optimus and Megatron chasing down the Cassetticons. We've got Ravage, Laserbeak, and was it Frenzy?
Yeah.
Or Rumble? I can't remember.
It was Frenzy.
It was Frenzy or Rumble. It was Frenzy. Okay. And Frenzy was a girl. A punk rocker goth girl.
In purple.
Yeah. So Frenzy is purple/blue. So this was it. Yeah, this was interesting. So we get a little bit more of the dynamics of what's going on with the state of the Decepticons here. So the Cassetticons are treated as kind of children Decepticons. I mean, that's what it seems like. And particularly Soundwave's children. So it's interesting that they're like turbo revving young punks. They got a cat. So Optimus and Megatron have to catch these Cassetticons are causing trouble. And then they call for backup, and Bumblebee goes in. Oh, backup! So I got to go in, but he can't leave the Terrans and the humans alone. So, which is lucky because RC shows up. RC looking awesome in her like classic car mode. Which was that? I believe, was this an inspiration from the Transformers versus Terminator comic? Or I can't remember.
No, I mean. Her mode in this is I think it's a 57 Chevy. So it's in the Transformers vs Terminator, she was a Ford Mustang.
Oh, okay.
I think it's supposed to be a 57 Chevy, but it's it's approximation, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Without having to actually pay Chevy.
Right.
But I think RC looked awesome in this model here. I wonder if this is. I mean, we haven't seen a hint of an RC EarthSpark toy, have we? So if this toy gets made, I think this looks really cool. And it's funny that her personality was very interesting. She's very much like the rough and tumble badass, and everyone she's like a hero. Everyone knows about her, and then she has an unorthodox teaching style where she just basically
Mr. Miyagi teaching style.
Yeah. pushes your buttons until you decide you don't want to take it anymore. And she says, "Oh, you realize that was the test." So you're done. So yeah, that was interesting to see her take her teaching style compared to Bumblebee. Um, and then later at the end of the episode, all the bots help out fighting this Cassetticons and Soundwave, which was very cool to see Soundwave here. Soundwave as a stealth bomber in his alt mode, working with the three Cassetticons. And Robbie doesn't know what a cassette is, which that's accurate for kids these days. They would not know what a cassette is. And then at the end, and also, I mean, and Jeremy, this continues the your theory that Optimus Prime is a huge jerk because Optimus and Megatron argue about how Decepticons should be treated, and Megatron in particular is not happy that you put those mode lock or straining bolts on the Cassetticons to lock them in cassette mode. He's like, yeah, he's very against that.
Yeah.
And Optimus Prime is, he's like, well, we had to make compromises to work with the humans and work with Ghost, and Megatron's not happy about all those compromises. But then you see like the differences between Megatron, who apparently is willing to work with Optimus Prime for the good of all Transformers on Earth. But then Soundwave is still, diehard Decepticon and calls Megatron a traitor, which, that's really interesting to see a universe where Soundwave and Megatron are at direct odds. I mean, you don't see that very often. So, and seeing, Megatron, you don't see Megatron fighting with Laserbeak and Ravage and turning his fusion cannon on them so at one point. So just an interesting dynamic here. But this definitely gives us a little bit more insight into the state of the Autobots and Decepticons. Some Decepticons are not, are still not willing to give up the fight. And yeah, calling Megatron a traitor and for basically betraying the Decepticon cause. So very interesting. But then at the end, you have Optimus basically saying, "Well, if you're going to vouch for these cassette Decepticons, we'll let them go." And Megatron thanks the dynamic between Optimus and Megatron is, work colleagues, look like friends. I mean, really interesting. And then they let the cassettes go, and Frenzy and Laserbeak are just gonna go off and they want to live free. But then Ravage is loyal to Soundwave, so he goes in with Soundwave, and
Well, that wasn't really Ravage. So
what was it? Wait,
did you not
what?
see the last scene?
Yeah, but
The Ravage that went away was Decoy.
I thought he just snuck back and somehow got back into Soundwave's chest. I don't know.
No, he was a decoy, and the real Ravage was in Soundwave's chest.
Oh, okay.
He tricked you too.
Yeah, he did. He did. Clearly. But yeah, so and then of course they'll at the very end so that Ravage will probably release all those Decepticons in Ghost custody. But you do see Starscream is also in custody there, and I believe in the credits Starscream was voiced by Steve Bloom, who also did Starscream in Transformers Prime. So that was nice to see. Oh, you you got the credits up.
Yeah,
good. Yeah, good job, Jeremy.
Soundwave. The voice on Soundwave I thought was also very good.
Yeah,
the modulation and stuff was good, but the voice itself, a very good sound, very good sound.
And yeah, and even the Terrans were the same size as the Cassetticons, so they could fight the Cassetticons a little bit. They wrestled for a little bit, and that was cute. And Soundwave, like the one thing I thought was also interesting, Soundwave was kind of a match for both Optimus and Megatron. I think maybe they were not, since the war is over, they're not like going full, I guess full power on each other. But Soundwave seemed to be, he seemed to be a threat to both Megatron and Optimus. So that was interesting.
Megatron wasn't
think
using his fusion cannon though.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
That's true. So Jeremy, what did you think of this episode?
This was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. It starting off with Optimus and Megatron fighting the cassettes. That's you it's telling me right away that this is going to be an interesting episode. And this is like making Optimus more palatable to me. This whole episode did that. In You're starting to see some of his motivations for why he has been such a jerk. And even at the end, he kind of admitted some of Megatron's harsh words in the beginning kind of got through to him. And he's like, I needed to hear that. So, I'm hoping that as we get into the season 2, or I don't know, if season 2 or second half of season 1, in March, if this is going to carry on or if it'll just be something that's just kind of forgotten. So we'll have to see about that. But really good character work on Megatron and Optimus in this episode. I see a lot of the IDW, RID, and more than MECI Megatron. Lots of inspirations here, where the war is over. He doesn't want to fight the Decepticons, but he's seeing for the greater good. Although the stasis lock devices are just completely unpalatable to him, and he will not even touch them. He won't use those, which, I really like Megatron's character in this show overall, but this episode in particular. RC was great. At first I was like, what is, how she has them digging trenches, what's going on here? And, when it reveals that she was going to just see how far they would go before they finally stood up to her and said, this is stupid. And she's like, there's your lesson. Don't be a pushover. And I was like, that's a good lesson for kids too. Kids need to know, think about what you're doing. Don't just blindly follow orders. It's, you can say no if you think that it's a stupid thing to do. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun. And the Soundwave bit at the end, I thought was very interesting. And just hearing Steve Bloom as Starscream again, I can't wait till we get more of him, because Steve Bloom is the modern Starscream voice, and we just need more of him and everything.
Yep. Cool. All right, Daryl. Was this one lame?
No, this one. This is what I'm talking about. This was a good episode. I really enjoyed this one. Yeah, the whole part about the kids trying to or getting taught by RC, that was kind of fun. I really enjoyed seeing RC show up. I liked her alt mode. I thought, you know what? There's going to be people who have classic cars and stuff like that. Why not have some of the Transformers be classic cars too? It's a great choice. She stands out like a sore thumb, being the hot pink, and also being this like 50s era Chevrolet. But that also fits in with Transformers that generally they're not really hidden even in their alt mode. So
Yeah.
But
race cars don't just drive around the street all the time.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got this 50s era pink Chevy sitting next to this incredibly rare exotic, yellow sports car, and a giant transport truck, and a like a VTOL helicopter. Why not? Like, they're all kind of hang out together. So yeah, it's but yeah, no, I really like seeing RC. She was a great addition to the show, and she had a lot of comic relief with the kids. The fighting with the cassette bots was great. I really enjoyed seeing Frenzy in the with the gender swap role. I thought, you know what? why not? Why not have, one of them be a girl, right? It's her weapon was messed up. She just kept playing a guitar and it was how she shot her gun. Like that's a little weird. Like I don't know how you control that thing. Just kind of point it and just right? Just play a
Aiming must be
guitar.
a
Oh,
pain in the ass.
it's just ridiculous. So
But it
yeah, I mean,
matches with her sonic powers. She's frenzy, so she's got sonic powers, right?
still, I mean, come on. Like ridiculous. So, but I really enjoyed the look of Frenzy. I thought that I couldn't figure out how they would make a figure out of that character. Like, I don't see how the transformation works, even into a cassette shape. But whatever. Ravage and Laserbeak showing up. Cool, great original characters. Get them back. Soundwave was awesome. Like I really liked seeing Soundwave. His look was just intense. Like he's kind of like Starscream is obviously locked up. So, Soundwave is kind of the de facto leader right now, I would say. I mean, well, he's locked up now too, but there's some plan going on, right? So there's something happening here. Um, my question is if Ravage that we saw out, fighting with the other cassette bots was the decoy and the real Ravage was in Soundwave's chest the whole time, who was the Ravage that was running around? Like it wasn't a hologram, right? Because it was interacting with things. So what was that Ravage? Like is so I mean, are there two Ravages? What my that's kind of the question I have coming out of this episode is so you have that Ravage that's out on the fighting with the rest of them, but then you forward with Soundwave and he gets locked up and then he kind of ejects a Ravage from his chest and it's the real Ravage. So the one that was fighting with everybody is question mark. Who is that?
I mean, that's why I thought there was just one Ravage. I thought when Ravage left the other cassette bots, he went and just rejoined Soundwave, like he snuck into Soundwave's chest later on, because that's what I thought happened. So I don't know.
I just assumed it was like a hollow matter thing
Mm.
that lasted for an amount of time, but I'm sure we'll find out. And can I say that the design for Ravage and Laserbeak were just great. Ravage in particular, just
Oh yeah, they look fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah,
they were awesome.
they look good. They have they have this nice cartoon quality to them that you can tell that these are cartoon. These are characters for the cartoon, but they also look badass enough to be bad guys.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought that the whole fight sequence was great as well. The whole episode was just fantastic. Um, the dialogue between Optimus being kind of like this, I don't know, he was a bit of a jerk. I mean, I can understand him wanting to use like the alt mode locks, you know, because they're immobilized in their tape, form, right? They can't do anything. And if he's just using them for transportation at that point, like you're not storing them in this alt mode, right? You're just kind of transporting them in that alt mode. So you don't want any kind of trouble. I understand would be the time when you would use these alt mode locks. Um, I don't. I mean, personally, I don't have any problem with that, but I can see how Megatron being, reformed would want to give the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, one thing that I also wanted to bring up, I forgot, that was when Megatron was talking to Optimus. He mentioned that the humans control where Decepticons live and what form they take in relationship to the alt mode locks. But I mean, where they live are they going to bring up some sort of like what we saw in the beginning parts of RID, the comic, where the Decepticons were basically kind of forced to live in this these ruins.
Maybe
And
they have this
basically, like,
this
second-class citizens.
commune, this
Yeah.
camp or something like that they've given them.
I mean, that would be pretty deep for a kids show.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean, we're halfway through the first half of season 1, I guess. And it wasn't until the most recent. It wasn't until Cyberverse kind of got its feet on the ground that it actually got good because this one's definitely got a few episodes that are good so far. I can see them ramping up and getting a little bit more deep.
yeah, and then we also get a little bit another tidbit about Bumblebee being like they basically faked Bumblebee's death, and Ghost doesn't know that Bumblebee is still alive. And if they did know he was alive, there would be questions. I wonder what those questions would be about exactly what were the circumstances of Bumblebee's death. So that's another question that we haven't gotten an answer to, which I think is interesting. Of course, they're not really doing a good job of hiding Bumblebee. Like he's like, if he's going, like the Decepticons can say, "Hey, I saw Bumblebee. He's still alive." Like they're not going to keep his secret for him.
Do we really
Yeah.
believe Ghost doesn't have satellites looking down at the Maltos farm?
Well, I mean, Ghost, I mean, if we're going by Agent Schrader, Ghost is not the most competent group of humans.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably get more answers of that in future episodes. But it's interesting what is going on with Ghost and the Autobots and Decepticons and what Bumblebee's deal is. So yeah, and I hope and we'll get more information about what the rest of the Decepticons are doing. Like, are the majority of Decepticons just like hanging out, living their lives, and there's just a few that are kind of still want to start up the war? I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, that's our review of Transformers EarthSpark Episode 8, Decoy. So that will take us to the end of this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode. As always, we end the show by giving a shout out to our masterpiece donatrions, John 4X Levengood and Demon Tech 82. We give you guys a shout out in every episode because you contribute to the Patreon at our highest level, and we really appreciate that support. So thank you again. And before we leave, I also want to mention our friends at toyhacks.com. So use our promo code TM1234 at toyhacks.com. You can get 15% off your entire order at toyhacks.com. Can be used with your robo points, but not with any other promotional offers at toyhacks.com. And yeah, can use it as many times as you like, or as many orders as you like. So remember that code, 15% off every order at toyhacks.com, code TM1234. All right, everyone. Thanks again for watching and listening to Transmissions Alt Mode, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Transmissions. If you'd like to join the conversation, travel to our Discord channel at transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. Want some cool transmission swag? Feast your eyes on our transmissions gear at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. If you'd like to support our podcast, go to transmissionspodcast.com/support or tell your friends about our show. We'll see you next time.